Krsna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Purja Das. How not to burn people out. This is the topic of today's BLISS Podcast. I would like to greet our regular listeners. David from Canada, Maitreya Prabhu from UK. He's not just a listener, but he's also a co-creator, participant. Makancho Prabhu, thanks to whom we are able to broadcast. Sabina Mataji, Bad Boy. Bad Boy is a very good boy because he's distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. I think he's from UK. So Bad Boy has dropped a few comments on our podcast. Thank you so much, Bad Boy. You're a very bad boy, but you're a very good boy also. And this podcast actually has been inspired by the question Bad Boy asked in the previous podcast. If you have not listened to the previous podcast, please check it out. It's called Working for Krsna. Hare Krishna to everybody, all of you, all the Bliss fans, all the Bliss devotees, wherever you are, in Antarctica, India, America, or Mars. Wherever you are, chant Hare Krishna. And give your all reception to the wonderful nectarian vibration and teachings of Srila Prabhupada, the greatest spiritual master in all of the three worlds and beyond. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we're going to discuss how not to annoy people, how not to burn people out while we're preaching Krishna consciousness to them. But before we do that, let's have some nice transcendental audio clip made by Maitreya Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai. This is called The Game of Life. Enjoy.
This summer, prepare yourself for the game of life. An action-packed, fast-paced struggle for existence. Get to the top or die trying. Lord it over and cheat your so-called friends. Work hard like an ass for practically no profit. And at the end, leave it all and start again. Select from 8,400,000 species of life. Travel throughout all the planetary systems. Be either a Kami, Jnani, Yogi, or if you want to end the game early, why would you want to do that? Become a Bhakta. Not suitable for persons who are sane. Happiness and satisfaction sold separately. Coming to a store near you.
Game over. Take your birth again.
Oh, again? How many times are you gonna have to try and beat that final boss?
Now, what's the problem there, Jimmy?
Every time I play this game of life, I get to the last level. I've gotten all the money. I got the babes. I got the cars. I maxed out my material science bar. And I even got a fully equipped material body, man. But I can't beat that final boss, Death.
Oh yeah, Jimmy, that's totally natural, cause death is like insurmountable, you know?
Then why the hell am I even playing this game?
That beats me, Jimmy, but there is a way how to beat it. That I can assure you, there's just a secret path you can take.
Whoa, what's that?
You gotta become a Bhakta.
Whoa, a Bhakta, cool. What is that?
Oh, it's really easy, Jimmy. It's just like how Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Mam eva ye prapadyante, mayam etam taranti te. Oh, because Krishna, he designed this game. If you become Krishna's devotee, you can easily win the game. And you can conquer that final boss you're having so much difficulty with.
Okay, awesome. So, how do I become Krishna's devotee?
It's so easy, Jimmy. You just gotta start chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, neat. But, how do I get the babes and the money and like that?
No, Jimmy. That's like totally the wrong idea, man. Those things are why you can't beat the final boss. Don't you get it, man? They weigh you down. They make you want to keep playing the game again and again. If you want to beat it forever, you gotta turn off that stupid slave station 360 you're being glued to for time immemorial, and you gotta give up this material rubbish. Just chant Hare Krishna, Hare Rama like a madman. That's the only way, Jimmy.
Okay, whatever, man. I guess that's not so hard. It's only like 16 syllables. And I'm getting kind of bored of this material enjoyment anyway.
Yeah, it's rubbish, Jimmy, it's rubbish.
Let's chant.
Oh, Harry Bo.
Congratulations, you beat the game of life.
Unbelievable. So that was Maitreya Prabhu's contribution. Very wild and very experimental, but very truth. Very true. This is just a game of life. This material world is just a game of life. So, just to tell you a little bit about the Bliss affairs. So, we're just waiting for our books, Srila Prabhupada's books, original books, very original books, to be shipped to London, where Maitreya Prabhu already resides. He is engaged in preaching there already, converting the Queen and Prince Charles there. Prince Charles is playing Big Madanga, and the Queen is playing kartals and cooking some sabji or something, I heard. I am not sure if this is not illegal. Maybe I'm gonna get arrested when I go to England. So we're waiting for the shipping company, and actually shipping company we kicked out. No more shipping company. Now we're considering that we're gonna drive the books ourselves, namely by the mercy of Makanchu Prabhu and Maitreya Prabhu, our great bliss drivers. They all have experience, especially Makanchu Prabhu, who's been driving us all around Europe for the last so many years, 5 years or so, doing Sankirtan for Srila Prabhupada and the people around Europe. So he's a very expert driver. He can drive even with his eyes closed, no problem. Even while sleeping, even while chanting his rounds, even while taking prasadam, Makanchu has inconceivable Shakti potency by which he can drive. So these Prabhus, they're gonna drive the books. So I hope at one point I'm gonna be talking to you from London, and I can wrap it up here in Gibraltar. I already made some friends with the airport employees. They know me very well because I go there on the internet almost every day, uploading the podcasts and the materials and so on and so on. So I already know them here. But it's time to take off. We have picked London because London is the hub of the world. We hope that we're gonna find some sincere souls who are sick of this material existence and sick of lording it over. And this is what the podcast is all about today. Coming back to the original topic, how not to burn people out. So Prabhu Bad Boy, he has been a little bit expressing his frustration. I don't know, Prabhu, you have to tell me. I hope I'm not making offenses. Maybe it was just a transcendental pastime of yours to engage us, that you were falsely expressing frustration, but you're actually a very elevated Mahatma who is engaging low-class rascals like myself in trying to realize about their own position. So I do not know. If by any chance you're such an elevated Mahabhagavat Paramahamsa, you please kindly give me a hint so I don't make offenses and go to hell. Thank you very much. So yes, so of course there are many angles of vision how to see this, but I would like to go a little deeper than that. We should understand that Krishna consciousness is not an artificially imposed process. It is not like everything else we do here in this world, because everything is artificially imposed. Even our own identity is artificially imposed. If you think I'm a man, woman, the other day there was a big Boomba war, Kurukshetra, on my Facebook, because I posted Srila Prabhupada's quote in regards to materialistic women, how they're simply exploiting the man and doing nothing. So many female predominantly, but also some male so-called friends on Facebook, whatever you want to call them. I call them so-called because friends means interaction, not just writing something to some a false identity. See, we have a false identity. We think I'm the body, I'm such and such person, my name is such and such, I have this nationality, and so on, so on. And then we make another false identity on Facebook. We post a nice picture smiling. We nicely Photoshop our rotten teeth. The black we turn into white. And we, I forgot. Hare Krishna, Bridget. Bridget, I forgot. Bridget is also listening to our podcast. We have a nice exchanges on the email. I very much appreciate, Bridget. Thank you so much for the last email. I'm going to respond as soon as I have a little spare time. Some good points there, or I would say important questions to be resolved. So yeah, Bridget told me she doesn't like this Facebook social media. I don't know exactly. I didn't inquire too much confidentially about the reasons why, but I can understand why, because it's all just a Maya within Maya, right? There's actually a computer program called Maya. This for 3D, for creating Maya within Maya. Right? So we create, just like Krishna, he creates this Maya for us to have our sense gratification in this material world. And then we also, because we're little tiny parts and parcels of Krishna, because we love to imitate Krishna, right? Especially his rasa dance, we love that, to imitate in all kinds of forms, imitating the loving, so-called, our loving is so-called, Krishna's loving is real. So we love to imitate that. So we also imitate creating Maya, right? And this Facebook also and social media, where we create our profile of ourselves, where we, a little bit, or not just a little bit, but extremely improve our so-called image of ourselves that we show to others. This is myself, this is who I am. So anyway, there was a big debate, and many people have been very much angry, and many people have blocked me also, because I have posted this quote of Srila Prabhupada, which just shows you that the words of a pure devotee are very dangerous. I mean, just look in the history. Every time a pure devotee was preaching the truth, he was either crucified, or he was beaten, he was whipped, he was punched in the face, just like I was punched in the face a few times while preaching. So we should not be in illusion that, oh, this world is very nice, we're all happy here, and everything is wonderful, and everyone is good, and everyone is angel. No. We must consult the authority. Who is the authority? You might have some limited experience, he might have some limited experience, and we combine together, and we have two limited experiences, or three or four, or millions of limited still it makes a limited experience. Even if 1 million people write their experience and they call it Wikipedia, it's still one big limited experience. So that's not authority. We kick these out, these research methods, imperfect research methods, and we consult the real authority. And who can be more real or perfect authority than the creator of this material world? Just like if you want to know something about Microsoft Windows or the vaccines, you're going to ask that guy, Mr. Gates, right? Because he made this all up. He knows how the nitties and gritties of his systems work. He knows everything. Why should I tax my brain? Something breaks in my computer, so I take a kitchen knife and I put it in my computer and try to make it run and do so many things. Put the computer in the water, and why should I waste my time? I go to the person who has constructed the thing and I ask him how to fix this, because he knows what. First of all, he knows what is the problem, what is the actual problem. I might see that my computer screen is working, but actually he tells me later on that it's some kind of a chip inside of the computer, and the computer screen is just a side effect of the original problem. So Krishna says that this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's full of misery and it's temporary. If you think that I can make this world a beautiful place, I can have a wonderful life, and I can enjoy, and I can have friends, and so on, you are a mudha. Mudha means an ass. This is not just the conclusion of Krishna, but all great spiritual masters in the history. Of course, Krishna is not just some kind of a spiritual master. He's the Supreme Personality of God himself. But he himself is acting as the Supreme Teacher. So all of these great teachers, they condemn this world. They condemn it. Not in the sense that they condemn the creation. That, the creator, like the atheists, or Mr. Gates, or whatever, these people, scientists. What's wrong with the scientists? The scientists, they think, this world is imperfect because there is no God. It's just a wild nature without any system, So we have to control things. We have to vaccinate everyone now, because the nature is some kind of a mad, crazy lady on LSD, and she doesn't know what she's doing. So we're gonna save everyone. We have the solution. And then you can see all their solution, these scientists, everything failed. Ultimately, the greatest solution the scientists have brought to this world is the atomic bomb. See, that's how the scientists are solving problems. Just drop atomic bombs at everyone's head. That's gonna solve all the problems. You see, this is a solution of a mudha. Just like I was mentioning the person who is trying to find what is the problem with this computer. A mudha, if the computer doesn't work, such a mudha, foolish person, he takes the computer and bangs it against the floor, ultimately, when he doesn't know how to find a solution. So these solutions of the scientists are most foolish. So everyone is wearing a mask now. The economy is going down. Everything is messed up. Simply to solve this problem of an insignificant virus. It is insignificant. Yes. Because Krishna himself says, this is the world of misery. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This world is the world of birth, death, old age, and disease. Of course, these are strong words. You can't hear this on any other channel or anywhere else except from Srila Prabhupada or any other genuine saint. Lord Jesus Christ also says, don't make this the kingdom. Don't make this kingdom on earth. There's a kingdom of God in the heavens. Lord Buddha also says, this is simply dukkham. This material life is simply suffering. So these great souls are not foolish. They're not intoxicated by the material world. They understand this world is full of misery and we're meant to suffer here. We're meant to get the virus. Why? Because we're sinful. This is another thing people don't understand. This virus is the result of sinful activities that people have performed. They have offended devotees. They have killed billions, and they still do kill billions of animals simply for some little satisfaction of the tongue. They kill billions of babies in the womb, abortion. They engage in so many abominable things, and then they're wondering why this virus is here, why are we suffering? See, and the scientists, instead of realizing, instead of trying to find out the real cause, the karmic cause, they give some nonsense diagnosis. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. And they make a solution that makes things even worse. You see, now healthy people are suffering because there is some virus that infects a few people. Many people, of course, but minority. Now the whole world has to suffer. This is their solution. Nonsense. It is all nonsense. All these rascals, they're in the leading positions. They're all nonsense, number one. Non-devotees, atheists, without any knowledge, no understanding of the soul, no understanding of transmigration, no understanding of why this material world is here. Why are we here? Why are we on this planet, circling in the universe? Why this is here? They have no idea. Essential questions. Simply some virus. Oh, someone has died. So what? You have to die anyway. Everyone has to die. Because this is dukkhala shashvatam. You see, so a devotee is not a sentimental mudha who is naive, thinking that, I'm going to improve my material condition. He is a dhira. He is sober-minded, not intoxicated, not sentimental. He is sober. He is intelligent. He understands. That which is material, just like this body, must finish, must come to end. Everything will be finished. But I, the spirit soul, I am eternal. This is the essential part of the body, the spirit soul. So we're here to understand this point, that we're eternal, and this material world is Maya. The pleasures we derive from material existence are Maya, are illusion. The relationships that we develop are illusory. There is no love. There is no friendship. It's all just an exchange of selfish services, self-motivated. I satisfy you, you satisfy me. If I dissatisfy you, kick on my face. This is the nature of this world. So a devotee understands this point. He understands. Now, we have been very fortunate to come in the association of a great saint, a great spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has come here into this world to open our eyes, to open our eyes to the real knowledge, spiritual knowledge of Krishna. And because Srila Prabhupada he's not under the laws of material nature, just like Krishna. They do not need anything material. They do not even need to maintain their bodies, because their bodies are spiritual, Satchitananda. My body is not Satchitananda. My body is Asat, Achit, Nirananda, non-eternal, full of ignorance and full of suffering. So their only desire, Krishna and his bona fide devotees, their only desire is that those who are in this illusion, they come out. Just like a physician, like a doctor. He administers the medicine. Not because some patient did him a favor, but because it's his duty. It's his duty to cure the patient who is sick. You see, this is spiritual master. So, the spiritual master comes here with this plan to open our eyes, to awaken us to this reality. Because temporarily we may enjoy, yes, oh, I have a nice wife, I have so much money, I am living in USA, in New York, somewhere, very posh quarter, everything, I am very famous. But very soon, my friend, you'll be kicked out from this body, and you might take a body of a dog or a cat or an insect. You don't know where you're going. After you leave this body, it is a big question mark where you're going to take your birth next. See, this is the real problem. We're solving the COVID-19 problem and so on. Undoubtedly, this is a problem. Yes, we should be concerned. But this is not the real problem. Whether you die now by some coronavirus or you die later due to old age, this question is important. Where am I going after I finish this material? This life. Where am I going? Where have I qualified myself to take my birth next? You see, so this is what the Bhagavad Gita is teaching. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatayante kalaivaram tam tam eva iti kaunteya sadatat bhava bhavitaha. Whatever you're thinking at the time of death, that's sort of body you will get next. So the spiritual master comes to tell us all of this, and this is called transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge means that it has nothing to do with these material affairs. How to eat, how to sleep. Why people want to solve this coronavirus. Why they're so much eager for the vaccines and solutions and quarantines and this and that. Why? So they can go on sleeping, eating, mating and defending. That's all. There is no higher ideal. They make it, very high. We want to save humanity. We want to save. Why you want to save? So they can go on eating, sleeping, mating and defending like animals. Is it such a noble thing? Is it noble that I want to save you so you can go on being an animal? That is not noble at all. The real noble thing is to make you a human being. What is the special prerogative of a human being? Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Inquiry about why am I here? Why am I suffering? Who am I? Who is God? What is the relationship? So this is transcendental knowledge. This is why we should associate with the spiritual master and the devotees. Not to solve our material problems. Srila Prabhupada says, one who is not serious about solving the real problems of life, birth, death, old age, the spiritual master doesn't talk to him. He remains silent. You see? Because it's prajalpa. It's like a mundane talk. It's a deviation from Krishna consciousness. If you engage in these mundane talks, you're deviating from the strict standard of bhakti yoga. Such talks concerning family and material body and this and that, they divert the mind from the real purpose of life, realizing my true identity with Krishna. So this is called transcendental knowledge. Now, as you might have also felt, these kind of talks are not palatable. They're not palatable. These are very bitter medicines. The senses are rebelling. No! The mind is rebelling. The intelligence is trying to find out a way how to escape. Just like so many times we have experienced this in a temple. People would come, and as soon as they would As soon as they realized that, oh my God, this is a serious spiritual life, immediately they were looking for some excuse to go. Even the great promise of a delicious prasadam would not hold them back. They would go immediately. They immediately see, this is again sense gratification. I am not ready. This is not for me. I am not prepared yet. The mind is giving all kinds of excuses so we can go on serving Maya. Yes, go on serving this illusion temporary. Get kick on the face repeatedly. Birth after birth, repeatedly. You're being kicked. You're running after Maya. You dedicate, you surrender your whole life to Maya, illusory relationships, illusory pleasures, and then getting disappointed. Oh, this person, he betrayed me. Oh, my mother, she, she hid the inheritance. Oh, my father, he did some cheating on me. Oh, my uncle, he put LSD into my coffee cup or something like that, right? So we are getting kicked. So the spiritual master, he tells us, don't be kicked. You yourself are the problem because you're buying this illusory happiness. You're buying this. You're getting tricked. So this is called transcendental knowledge, and transcendental knowledge burns. See, sometimes foolish people, they say, oh, don't say like this, Purajit, because you will burn people out. So these people, they burn me out. They think that I'm burning some people out, but they themselves are burning me out. I don't want to associate with such low-class people. They're very nonsense because they don't understand anything about spiritual life, what to speak of how to preach Krishna consciousness. It is not like a business that we're looking for a customer, and if the customer is not coming, then we change the product to attract his attention. It is not a business. It is, as I said, it is a medicine. If you have a flu, then you need a particular medicine. If a person is suffering from typhus, no, some disease, he has to fast. He cannot take solid food. Typhoid, yes, typhoid. Now I remembered. Krishna gave me intelligence. So, but you are hungry. You want to eat palatable dishes all the time. Now, if the doctor says, oh, the customer, he has a taste for food, let me give him some food, instead of telling him the proper treatment is to fast, then the patient will die. Although temporarily he will enjoy that food for a few seconds or a few minutes, and then he dies. You see? So this is what is going on. Of course, we don't see it so immediately because our life is long-lasting. But from the viewpoint of eternity, this life is simply like a second. And this is what is going on. Foolish people are guiding us to embrace the Maya more and more. Yes, very nice. You remain in your stupidity and go on paying me some fees. And people are paying so much money. Oh, this Swami, this priest, this Lama, or whatever you want to call him, oh, he speaks very nicely. He's telling me to stay in the material world and suffer. People are so foolish. And then Srila Prabhupada comes on the scene. You rascal number one, I kick on your face. You're wasting your time. You're a mudha. Oh, so people feel, oh, this is very bad, Swami. Very bad. They become very angry. To the point that they even crucified Lord Jesus Christ. They crucified him for such talks. Haridas Thakur also was tortured. Great devotees. So transcendental knowledge must burn. If you think that, oh, I'm burning people out, that is good. That is very good. Think of it like school system. You start with the kindergarten, right? And go to the kindergarten, then the first grade, second grade, third grade, whatever you want to call, high school, university. Becoming a devotee is just like entering the university. It doesn't happen all of a sudden. It takes many, many lifetimes. Even Krishna says, one who is not yet purified from all sinful activities, he cannot take up this Krishna consciousness. You see? So it takes some time. And the kindergarten, what is that beginning of Krishna consciousness? That beginning is that someone hears this message from you for the first time in his journey in the material world. You see, and the first reaction is denial. There is a saying like that. Denial is the first stage of acceptance. But this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness, because it's transcendental knowledge. It's not subjected to whether you like it or not like it. It acts just like fire. You put your hand in the fire, it acts, it burns you. Similarly, transcendental knowledge acts. Whether you like it, whether you protest, whether you are envious, whether you're crucifying the speaker, it acts on your consciousness. This is Krishna. Especially in this Kali Yuga, the chanting of the holy name is very potent. That even people, we have the descriptions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how some of the Muslim kings, when they saw Lord Chaitanya, they were very sinful meat eaters and killing people, Kshatriyas, so-called, I don't know what kind of Muslim kings. And when they saw Lord Chaitanya, they became purified. They started crying and they asked for some service to do. Prabhupada says this is the first symptom of one being initiated into the chanting of the holy name. He asked for seva. Not like so many devotees, they say, oh, I am initiated, Prabhupada is my guru, I am simply reading the books. No. The first symptom, if you read these books, you will read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada says the first symptom of initiation is that you ask for to be engaged in some service. You see? So, this is the greatest service, that you preach to others. And the transcendental knowledge must burn. This is confirmed by Krishna. Where is it stated? In the Bhagavad Gita. Yata idamshi samidhog agnir basma sat kurute arjuna. Yan agni sarva karmani basma sat kurute tata. Krishna says, as the blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. You see? This is the fire of knowledge. This transcendental knowledge is like a fire, and it turns into turns firewood to ashes. Now, what is that firewood? Our material activities, reactions to material activities, burning. All these misconceptions are burnt. That's why it's so difficult for people to accept, because it burns them. This knowledge burns them out. Yes, and that is the first stage of acceptance, and it burns them. Srila Prabhupada says, perfect knowledge of self and super self and of their relationship is compared herein to fire. This fire not only burns up all reactions to impious activities, but also all reactions to pious activities, turning them to ashes. Now, how to understand this? Impious activities, we know, sinful activities, killing, sinning, illicit sex life, like that, gambling, cheating, lying, offending devotees. These are all impious activities, sinful activities. But here it says even reactions to pious activities. See, we're even against pious activities, just like I was saying before, curing the virus. Oh, we have to save the humanity. This is pious activity, definitely, but from the transcendental point of view, it is useless. Why? Because it doesn't produce any sort of spiritual effect. If you help people on material platform, you must take birth again and get rewarded. But that reward, is it very profitable? I get rewarded with another Maya, illusory sense gratificatory pleasures that I am so much addicted to. Is it a great reward? No. So people become burned by this. Oh, are you saying that we should not help people? Are you saying that we should let them die out of virus? Do you mean to say we should be neglectful of our family, of our society, and so on, so on? Is that your philosophy, your Krishna consciousness? So cruel, so horrible, so fanatical? You see, this is how the knowledge burns, because it's transcendental. It's way beyond these things. People cannot understand. They constantly, within these two dualities, good activities, bad activities, right? They perform some good pious deeds. They get their birth again. They get rewarded. He takes birth in a nice, rich family with a silver spoon in his mouth. And then he becomes rascal. Just like so many rich people, they don't know what to do with themselves. So they smoke drugs or they go killing people for pleasure. So this is not intelligence. Intelligence is to render the transcendental activity. If you want to help people, tell them about Krishna. Even if it burns them out, go on telling them. Because if you go on giving the medicine, Srila Rupa Goswami gives this wonderful analogy. It's just like a person suffering from jaundice. If he takes sugar candy, in the beginning it's bitter. But if he goes on taking, ultimately, it is sweet. And he becomes cured from the jaundice. So we have to go on preaching. Never mind, he is annoyed. He is a rascal. Chanakya Pandit, he says that if you instruct a fool, he becomes angry. Just like we telling people, chant Hare Krishna. Why you want to take birth as a dog? Oh, you're going to tell me what to do, what I should do? You rascal. Let me beat you up now. You with your nonsense books and your nonsense ropes. Let me punch you in the face. This is the fool. You're trying to save him and he's attacking you. There cannot be anyone more foolish than a person like that. Just like the son, sometimes he rebels against the father. The father wants only good to the son. But because the son is a fool, number one, he thinks, why should I serve the father? I take his money, I take the father's money, and I become myself the boss and the controller. This is our rotten mentality. Just like we have taken everything from Krishna. Everything we have borrowed from Krishna, stolen from Krishna. And we think, I can be happy. Can a thief be happy? The thief, although he can steal millions of dollars, he cannot be happy. Why? Because deep inside of his mind, he knows, this is not my property. Similarly, we also know deep inside, this is not mine. I cannot keep this with me. I'm going to be dead very soon. All these stuff will be left behind me. So we know it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to Krishna. That's why we cannot be happy. So give it to Krishna. Use it for Krishna. Then you can be happy, not otherwise. Prabhupada continues. There are many stages of reaction. Reaction in the making, reaction fructifying, reaction already achieved, and reaction a priori. But knowledge of the constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. When one is in complete knowledge, all reactions, both a priori and posteriori, are consumed. In the Vedas it is stated, Ube uhaivaisya ete tarati amrta saru asadhuni. One overcomes both the pious and impious interactions of work. You see, this is what we're distributing to people. Knowledge, transcendental knowledge, even this holy name is non-different from transcendental knowledge. If you chant for someone or if you explain like I'm explaining now, it's the same. It has the same reaction. It purifies people from their karmic, sinful activities. Otherwise, they have to go on suffering for the sinful activities they have committed for millions of lifetimes. So this is such a beneficial work. There's nothing higher than preaching Krishna consciousness. Try to understand this and don't give up, even if people are burned out. Of course, the preacher should also be a little bit intelligent. If a person is dull-headed, there's no use of preaching to him. There's no use. We're wasting our time. Our time is also very limited. We're also going to leave this body soon. We should use the time properly, not waste time. It's just like talking to a brick wall. A person who is averse, who is not submissive, who is close-minded, we should not waste time with them. Prabhupada actually, Krishna says, just give me a second. Naburi bhedam janayet agyanam karma sanginam yoshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Let not the wise disrupt the minds of the ignorant who are attached to fruit of action. They should not be encouraged to refrain from work, but to engage in work in the spirit of devotion. You see, this is what Krishna says. He gives advice. If he doesn't want to hear, that's okay. But you try to engage him. Just like we ask, please, can you give a donation? He might not agree with anything we say. He might not be ready to undergo any austerity. He might not be ready to take up Krishna consciousness. But €1, $2, this, that, £1, oh, why not? After all, you're doing something good. I might not be able to do like you, but I know that you're doing something. There is something there. Something is there. Everyone thinks of God at a certain time in his life, especially at a time of danger when his life is in jeopardy. Everyone is praying to God. Oh God, if you exist, please save me. Then he's saved, then kick out God. But at least for the time being, he thinks of God. So people know subconsciously, yes, this is the right thing to do, but I am a rascal. I cannot do. So because of that guilty consciousness, that is good. He gives a little donation, or he assists the preaching work in so many different ways. We can engage people in service. Prabhupada comments on this verse. Vedascha sarvayam eva vedya. That is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performances of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all directions for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. You see, Vedas are simply that we understand Krishna. Otherwise, the Vedic study is useless. Prabhupada continues. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. Very important. One who doesn't accept a bona fide spiritual master, who thinks that, I can understand myself, he is reading the Vedas with the aim to satisfy his sense gratification. And he'll be very pleased because the Vedas mentioned various yagyas and sacrifices and different rituals by which you can get nice sense gratification. But that is not the aim of Vedic knowledge. That is for foolish people who doesn't want to follow any authority. At least they accept some Vedic authority. And ultimately, by touching the Vedas, by associating the Vedas, they come to a stage when they inquire, what is the actual purpose of the Vedas? Prabhupada continues, through sense regulations, however, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. You see, we're showing that. When we have donations, when we receive donations, we prepare prasadam, we prepare feast, and we invite people, come take Krishna prasadam. This is showing the example. Everyone should do this. Cook prasadam, invite others, feed them with prasadam. This everyone should do. The learned, Prabhupada continues, the learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, still, this is very important, still a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals, because in direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results simply by following the prescribed duties of a particular person. You see, so even here, Prabhupada says that as soon as someone is just a little bit inquisitive about Krishna consciousness, he uses the word slightly developed Krishna conscious person, he should not be encouraged in doing this work and so on and so on. He should be encouraged in direct Krishna consciousness. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, and so on and so on. Hearing, chanting, meditating on Krishna, thinking of Krishna, remembering, serving the lotus feet, and so on and so on. Immediately. So we must develop this sort of discrimination in preaching work. We should not preach to those who are dull-headed. We can give them prasadam. We can chant for them. Don't waste so much time. And we should be very attentive that we recognize those who are slightly developed in Krishna consciousness and give them all encouragement. You see? But in order to do that, it is unavoidable that we burn people out with this philosophy. This is just like a big prison house. Dukalayam Asha Ashvatam. This is a big prison house. So don't expect that the inmates, they will behave like gentlemen. No, they're all rascals. We are all rascals. But there are some of those rascals, some of these inmates, some of the prisoners who have come to their senses. Oh, actually, I have done wrong. Let me rectify. But they will be in minority. You see, don't expect that the whole world will now bow down to Krishna. That day will never come. You can't expect, clean kitchen standards in the stool room. You go to stool to pass stool. This material world is just like that. We come here to satisfy a whimsical desire to be God. That's all. And we're Krishna conscious people, we're preaching, you are not God. You should surrender to God. So don't think that we'll be very popular. No, we'll not be popular. And Prabhupada says that actually, if you do not have opposition, if people are not getting annoyed, then you are a suspect. Then you're something is wrong with you. You're not practicing Krishna consciousness properly. You're not getting challenged by Maya. Maya is not afraid of you. You see? So go out and preach. Don't be afraid. You say the truth. Say the truth. We can actually back everything up. This is not some fanaticism that we say, oh, you go to hell if you don't follow Krishna. No. We explain everything. Dehinosminyatade. We can prove scientifically you are not this body. In the past, you had a body of a small child. Where is that body? It's gone. Are you gone? No, you're here. That means you're not the body. See? Very easy. If we're just a bunch of chemicals, then it will be easy to revive man's consciousness when he dies. You just adjust the chemical composition in the body and revive his consciousness. Can you do it? No. That means we're not the chemicals. We're spirit soul. Prabhupada says, preaching is always difficult. That I am repeatedly saying. You cannot take preaching as very easygoing. See, it is not easygoing. It's not a pleasure pastime. That, I do this for my pleasure. Chitter-chatting and so on. No. Prabhupada says, preaching must be a fight. Do you mean to say fighting is easy? Fighting is not easy. Whenever there is a fight, there is danger, there is responsibility. What is preaching? Because people are ignorant, We have to enlighten them. That is preaching. You see, so this Prabhu, bad boy, he says that the people are annoyed when he's preaching. So when there is a fight, you're fighting against the enemy. The enemy must be annoyed by you. That is the nature of fight. That means that it's a real fight. So in the beginning, yes, we're not enemies. We're friends. But people think we're enemies. This is Maya. This is the working of Maya. It makes the enemy to appear as a friend and the friend appear as an enemy. Just like sometimes the spiritual master, he chastises also. He chastises the disciple like anything. You rascal, you fool. Starting with Krishna. What did Krishna say to Arjuna? What was his first instruction? Not that you are not this body and so on and so on. No, he said you are a fool number one. That was the first. That's how the Bhagavad Gita begins. You fool. You see? But when the spiritual master does that, or when the devotees do that, that means that they love you. That means that they love you. They care for you because they're trying to rectify your misunderstanding. Very express, very instant rectification. Lots of mercy. You're getting lots of mercy. And vice versa. If the spiritual master is flattering you, he's telling you, oh, you're such a nice devotee, and so then again, you're a suspect. You should be worried. Oh my God. The spiritual master has I'm so puffed up that the spiritual master has to come and flatter me, so I render devotional service. You see, of course, the spiritual master doesn't do that. He does it very expertly. He doesn't do it in such a way that you deviate, you divert the attention from the purification process. But this is something we should always remember. If I'm not getting chastised, that means I'm fallen. And the more I'm getting chastised, the more I have the opportunity to improve in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says, our fighting is against atheism. They say there is no God. God is dead. I am God. You are God. We're fighting against these principles. So our fighting is very strong. Don't think that we're sitting idly. I have come here to fight with these atheists. We go everywhere. We're fighting with atheists all over the world. See, nowadays everyone is atheist. Even those people who say, I belong to such and such religion, they're all atheist. All atheistic. Because they deride the authority of their spiritual master. They make offenses to their spiritual master. They think the spiritual master is an ordinary man. Just like the so-called Christian people. They say, oh, our spiritual master, he died. He died so we can go on sinning. We made a nice agreement that our spiritual master dies on the cross. And then we can do any damn nonsense and it's okay. He takes the karma. This is atheism, because it derides the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the representative of God. Another quote by Srila Prabhupada: you cannot expect a favorable situation and still you have to preach. See, this is the nature of this material world. No favorable situation, nobody wants to listen, just like when you're doing book distribution, right? No one is interested. Get out. No one wants to talk to you. But Prabhupada says, and still you have to preach. Even in such position, you have to preach. See, this is amazing. Inconceivable Shakti Prabhupada is giving us, that in such a situation, we're able to preach to whatever extent, doesn't matter. If you give one book to a person, that is a very successful preaching. Bhaktisaranta Saraswati would be very pleased when a brahmachari would distribute a small pamphlet like that. Prabhupada continues, that is preaching. They will speak like madmen. So many things. They're mad. After all, nunam pramata kurute vikarma yadendriya pritaya apannoti. They have no sense. all materialistic persons are madmen. Sometimes you might see that Prabhupada is speaking sort of in a funny way in the interview or with his disciples. It seems that Prabhupada is not following what the people are saying, or he's answering the question as though he didn't understand the question or is speaking out of context and like that. So why is that? Is it because Prabhupada is foolish? No. It is because with a foolish person, you cannot be intelligent. It is folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss. So sometimes the spiritual master, he cannot speak intelligently with foolish people because they will not understand. You see? Sometimes Prabhupada has to find all kinds of means how to convince people. So it is for this reason. With a mad person, what sense you can speak? Then you also become mad. If you try to reason with a madman, you become a bad man also. Prabhupada continues, still by the order of superior, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to do this preaching work. Actually, the American boys are fighting against so many unfavorable situations. They're sometimes beaten in the airports. Do you know that? Still they're preaching. That is preaching. You see, and a devotee, he doesn't mind because he understands, what is beating? What is this? Beating. I have Krishna. I have the reservoir of all pleasure, the greatest diamond. What do I care for some beating? Let them kill me. I don't care. I go back home, back to God, and back to Krishna. And here's another one. When my Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada's spiritual master, was present, even big scholars were afraid to talk with his beginning students. Just see how wonderful Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is. That even the beginners, those who are beginners, his disciples who are beginners, big scholars were afraid to talk with them. Such an empowered Bhaktisiddhanta, such a great spiritual master. Prabhupada continues, my Guru Maharaj was called living encyclopedia. He could talk with anyone on any subject. He was so learned. So we should be like that as far as possible. No compromise. Ramakrishna, avatars, yogis, everyone was enemy to Guru Maharaj. He never compromised. See, this Ramakrishna is the greatest demoniac, subhuman animal, person. Mayavadi number one. He is the founder of this philosophy, Yata Matatapat. All paths lead to the same goal. See, this is the disease of our modern society, that we pat each other on the back. Oh, you are bona fide, and because you are bona fide, you please kindly don't criticize me, and I remain in my foolishness, go on practicing my concocted method of spirituality. Yeah, it's so diseased. All paths, I respect all paths. People are so puffed up; they don't understand any of the paths, and they say very in a puffed up way, I am not fanatic to follow one religion. I follow all religions. And he follows none of them. So this is the Ramakrishna. This is the founder of that philosophy. Prabhupada says, some Godbrothers complained that this preaching was chopping technique and it would not be successful. Some of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had the audacity to criticize their spiritual master. What happened to them? Prabhupada reveals. But we have seen that those who criticized, they fell down. You see, this is what happens to people like that who criticizing. It is very, very detrimental that we criticize devotees who are preaching Krishna consciousness. Very detrimental. Krishna will not tolerate this for obvious reasons. These devotees are risking their life simply to present the message as it is, to save the people from these clutches of Maya. Just like a doctor. Doctor is saving with the vaccine, right? He's going and is giving the vaccine against malaria or something. Now, some rascal fool number one says, Oh, don't allow this doctor come because the syringe is picky. There's a little pinching. If he gives you the injection, then it hurts. So it creates pain. He's burning people out. He should not be allowed to come here. So that person is a fool number one. He doesn't understand that if he doesn't give the vaccine, then the pain will be so much more than this little tiny pinching. And Prabhupada speaks about this also, how these neophyte devotees are criticizing. This is from the 7th canto, 14th chapter, 39th verse. Prabhupada says, a Prakita devotee or neophyte devotee is still on the material platform. He certainly engages in worshipping the deity, but he cannot appreciate the activities of a pure devotee. It has actually been seen that even an authorized devotee who is engaged in the service of the Lord by preaching the mission of Krishna consciousness is sometimes criticized by neophyte devotees. Such neophytes are described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as Sarva Prani Samanana Samarthanam Avagya Spardha Dimatam Tu Bhagavat Prati Maiva Patran Hi Patram Ityaha. For those who cannot properly appreciate the activities of authorized devotees, deity worship is the only way for spiritual advancement. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is clearly said, Krishna Shakti Vinanahi Tara Pravartana. Without being authorized by Krishna, one cannot preach the holy name of the Lord throughout the entire world. Nevertheless, a devotee who does so is criticized by neophyte devotees, Kanishtadikaris, who are on the lowest stages of devotional service. For them, deity worship is strongly recommended. So these neophyte devotees are defined by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He divides them into 4 sections: those who are coming to improve their economical situation, those who are coming to find a relief from distress, those who are coming out of inquisitiveness, and those who are after knowledge. They're after Krishna, but they want something in return. See, their service is not pure. And that is why they feel agitated when the devotee, because a pure devotee is preaching pure devotional service, sarvadharma parityajya. Lord Jesus Christ also is preaching pure devotional service. Love thy Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, like that. Everything. Surrender everything. Don't serve in a way that, oh, I serve you and then I want this, I want that, and so. No. So these Kanishta Adhikari, because they're materially attached, the preaching of a pure devotee is agitating. Well, if we preach what Prabhupada says, then these people who give me sense gratification, they'll be angry with me and they will disconnect the friendship and so on and so on. You see, I was mentioning this in the podcast called the Avoid Bad Association podcast. You can listen to it on our channel. That in our beginning stage of Krishna consciousness, if we have no association of devotees, then we should preach. And preach not in the sense of being puffed up that I can become a great acharya, but preach so we can save our Krishna consciousness. If we go on preaching, at least the nonsense association will leave us alone. Srila Prabhupada also writes in his poem, Vrindavan Bhajan. He says, I simply laugh. Simply list of names, my relatives, my former relatives are simply a list of names remains. They have all abandoned me because I have no money. If you have no money, nobody cares for you. Even a dog doesn't urinate on you. So, pure devotee says, give all your money to Krishna. Yes. Give up everything. Give everything to Krishna. Your heart, your mind, your intelligence, your work, everything to Krishna. Give everything to Krishna. Don't keep anything. You cannot keep. At the time of death, whatever you want to keep, they'll be taken by Krishna by force anyway. So you do it voluntarily. And you become liberated. So these people, they feel agitation because they want something in exchange. So we have to tolerate And Srila Prabhupada says here that such devotees, they should be engaged in deity worship. They should be engaged in deity worship. You want something material? Okay, that's okay, but do it for the deity. You want nice food? Okay, offer to Krishna. Then you take. You want a nice house? Don't build for yourself. Don't build a nice house for yourself. Build it for Krishna. Build a nice temple for Krishna. Give donations, millions of dollars for a nice temple for Krishna. Another important point here is that this potency or this empowerment to preach Krishna consciousness is coming from Krishna. It is not that we can independently, by some artificial techniques, become great preachers. No, you must be empowered by Krishna. You must get the power of attorney. Krishna consciousness is not awakened by some material techniques, by some material tricks, that I will not tell this person about Krishna. I tell him first of all about yoga, because yoga is for the body. So I trick him, and then when he is attracted to me, not to Krishna, but to me, bogus number one, through these yoga things, or I don't know, vegetarianism, or things that are not related to Krishna directly, then I will pull out Krishna out of the back. Dun da da da, Krishna. You must surrender everything. Then people, that will actually go away. This is not the way. Krishna consciousness is awakened by the pure sound vibration coming from the disciplic succession, coming from Krishna. Here Prabhupada talks about this. A sincere student orally receives the holy name from the spiritual master, and after being initiated, he follows the regulative principles given by the spiritual master. When the holy name is properly served in this way, automatically the spiritual nature of the holy name spreads. In other words, the devotee becomes qualified in offenselessly chanting the holy name. When one is completely fit to chant the holy name in this way, he is eligible to make disciples all over the world, and he actually becomes Jagat Guru. Jagat Guru means world Guru. Then the entire world, under his influence, begins to chant the holy names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Thus all the disciples of such a spiritual master increase in attachment for Krishna. And therefore he sometimes cries, sometimes laughs, sometimes dances, and sometimes chants. These symptoms very prominently manifest in the body of a pure devotee. Sometimes when our students of the Krishna consciousness movement chant and dance, even in India people are astonished to see how these foreigners have learned to chant and dance in this ecstatic fashion. As explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, actually this is not due to practice, as I was saying before, not through some material techniques. It's not due to practice. For without extra endeavor, these symptoms become manifest in anyone who sincerely chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Many fools, not knowing the transcendental nature of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, sometimes impede our loudly chanting this mantra. Yet one who is actually advanced in the fulfillment of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra induces others to chant also. You can say chant or preach also, interchangeable. It is the same. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartana. And as one receives special power of attorney from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he cannot preach the glories of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. As devotees propagate the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the general population of the entire world gets the opportunity to understand the glories of the holy name. You see, so this is from Adi Lila 7 chapter 83rd verse. It is not by our endeavor that people become Krishna conscious. You have to awaken their soul. And you can only awaken it through spiritual process, through spiritual sound. The sound you have received from spiritual master. Just like now, all these nice purports, this is the transcendental sound coming in a disciplic succession from Srila Prabhupada. So if you repeat this message as it is, people might not like it. But even if they don't like it, they're getting benefited. And maybe in their next life, they will take it up later. And if you do this constantly, you yourself become more and more purified, so this transcendental sound is vibrated offenselessly, without any impediment. You will transmit the vibration purely, and there will be a complete effect, perfect effect. So many people will become awakened. And we can see the example of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada never compromised. He was never wearing even Western clothes. What to speak of changing his message that he received from his Guru Maharaj. And now millions of people are chanting Hare Krishna mantra. See, there were some foolish people who were advising him, oh, Swamiji, if you go to USA, then you have to learn how to eat with a knife and fork. Just like the meat-eating people, they eat with a knife and fork. And they said you have to get coat pants and suit and so on, so on. So Prabhupada says, no, I will not change my ways. I will force them to change their ways. This is Krishna consciousness. This is preaching. This is what we have to do. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Hare Krishna.